Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am your host, Jamila Bashir, aka the IEP Coach, and I'm the Senior Educational Consultant for the IEP Coach LLC, where we focus on helping principals to keep their special education teachers from leaving by providing support tailored to special education teachers because we know exactly what they need. So it is Black History Month, and I'm so excited to be on tonight to start this series that we have that we're calling Overcoming Obstacles. Oftentimes, we focus on disability and what a person cannot do or what they are limited and what they can do. And so for this month, I decided to focus on highlighting individuals that are thriving in their professions that have a disability or they're pushing through with their disability. So that is the theme for this series, and that is our theme for the whole month of Black History Month. Okay, and I'm so excited to have our guest this evening because she had me on her platform, and I'm so excited that she volunteered to come on for this series. And if you see me turn to my left, we are going live on IG too. So I'm gonna pull her in. I'm gonna bring her in, and I'm also gonna bring her in on IG too. So we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully it goes well and it goes smooth. And also in the comments, those of you who are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, if it is sounding a little crazy, please let me know so I can fix it. Okay. So without further ado, I welcome today's guest, Zakira Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
All right. So I'm going to pull you up on Instagram. Do you see it?
We here.
He said you need to teach me how to do all this.
There you go. I love the echo.
Right. Hold on one second.
How about that?
I'm going to turn down my volume here.
There we go. There we go.
Okay. Good. Okay. All right. We're making this work. Okay. We're making this work. So again, this is my special guest, Zakira Muhammad. And so Zakira, I want you to go ahead and I want you to just tell the audience, of course, say who you are, where you're from, and tell them what you do.
Yes, so I am Zakira Muhammad, and my name is Arabic for the afterlife, the hereafter. And so I am a creative strategist. So I empower women of color, women of faith, to strategically tell their stories online. So I do that through all realms of creativity. And so I've also been an author as of 2019, where I also wrote a book called Seeing Life Through Different Lens, Cancer Survivors, memoir on overcoming adversity with resilience. And ever since becoming an author, I've also kind of worn the hat of, they like to call me a brand therapist, a brand therapist. So not only am I empowering you to tell your story and aesthetically, um, you know, you use technology as well and brand aesthetic to tell your story, but I'm also kind of encouraging you to step outside of your comfort zone. So, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now, but I love to travel.
Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, I'm just responding. We have who is this? Oh, Huda is on. She said assalamu alaikum. Mukhtar is on. She said Assalamu alaikum. And we have a handful of people on our IG as well. So wa alaikum assalam. So let's just jump into this conversation. So first and foremost, tell us about your journey um to where you are now, specifically like your childhood. What was life like as a childhood? Like, you can go into like what were any limitations that you had, any disabilities that you had, and just how did you start off, and how did you get to where you are now?
Yes, well, I was diagnosed with retinoblastoma, a rare childhood eye cancer, at the age of the initial diagnosis was detected at 6 months old, and then I had my eyes surgically removed at 9 months old. So I've been a childhood eye cancer survivor since I was a baby. And after that, as a result of the radiation later on, by the time I was the age of 3, I also ended up getting a mild hearing loss. And then throw in, more secondary as I get older, learning about autoimmune illnesses such as polycystic ovarian syndrome. And so childhood was fun. It was good. I think the blessing is that I had parents that didn't um, uh, ha- raised me to feel any different, right? I was still a child. I was still able to be creative as well. And I think I was 5 years old before I discovered my love of music, of the arts, of photography. And so just ever since just really being diagnosed, it's still just a matter of a lot of doctors and still prioritizing health and mental health. And it's been a long journey, but 30 years and 30 years in remission. So I'm grateful and blessed.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And you just out here just doing your thing out here, in these streets. You just out here just doing your thing. But you touched on something very important. You touched on just also, it's very important when your parents don't limit you as well, because you already, when you have of course you have a disability, or you have some type of ailment, depending on what it is, it can limit you in some way. But at the same time, your parents can limit you more, because it's like, oh, you can't do this, or it's like they're very overprotective or things like that. But you said your parents were very instrumental in making sure you knew that you could still have a great quality of life. Could you speak a little bit more on that, the importance of that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I operate with gratitude every single day. The fact that I can have a good quality of life, because I witnessed it every day in school with my fellow classmates. Because I did have special education programs if I wasn't, in my regular classes, speech therapy and whatnot. So I definitely witnessed it. And so just being able from a young age to just be reminded first and foremost that I am still a child that's got to go through life, and it's just other adversity, different abilities that are added on top of that now that should not hinder me from my purpose here on earth. And so, yeah, I think maybe it was probably a blessing in disguise too that I had older parents. They kind of had me like I was that miracle baby that they had me a little late, but it was right on time at the same time, and I think it gave them that kind of motivation. Like, you know what? We've had children. We both, had children, and what can we do differently this time around? So I definitely applaud them as well.
Yes, and yes, I applaud Zakira's parents as well, and just all parents out. First of all, parents, period, it's no handbook to be a parent. It's hard, you're by yourself or you're co-parenting, you're with someone else. Parenting is real. So shout out to all the parents, and then also parents that have exceptional children, children with needs. Super shout out to you, because it's just I feel like it takes special people to raise, children that are exceptional. Is a certain extra level of patience and gratitude that you need to have, and outlook on life you need to have in order, just to do that, and to also uplift them and let them know that anything is possible. Thank you, and shout out to your parents. So tell us one of the biggest challenge you've had to challenge, or challenges you've had to face in your professional and personal life.
Yes. So in my professional and personal life, so I'll start with personal first because that was the longest journey. I think it wasn't really until maybe I was 16 years old that I discovered like, okay, I can actually make money off of being creative. But personal wise, it was still just a matter of, see, I'm also the youngest, but technically the only child between my parents. So it was also a matter of like, okay, finding that sense of identity. It's also my mom and dad are the only ones that are Muslims that practice the faith of Islam as well. So it's like, okay, so how do I really interact with my siblings? How do I interact with everyone else? How do I really know who I am at the core? And so, just like everyone else, I still have identity crises here and there, have those moments. But I think that's really what shapes me into who I am today. Being able to sphere that into my professional life, being a creative, being a strategist, being a consultant as well. So yeah.
Has there been a moment where have you now? I know you do work for yourself, but times when you did not, was there ever an issue where you felt that someone felt you could not do the job or you could not do the assignment? Could you
Oh,
speak to
plenty,
that?
plenty of time. Oh, hold
You
on. Let
said
me get my charger really quick. But plenty of times. I got
okay.
lots to say about that. Hold on.
Okay. Her Zakira Fatimata, and I hope I said your name right on Facebook. Zakira.
Yeah. So I've done all of the above. I've worked. I've been predominantly an entrepreneur, and I also do a lot of freelance and contract work. And so the the most recent memories that I have are, especially when it comes to pre-pandemic, applying for jobs. And so it was like for a while, I didn't even want to answer that question of, do you have a disability? Right?
Mm,
Because I would notice that even if it started during the application process, it started actually in schools, even with applying for schools. Of okay, there is a disability, so that means you gotta spend more money, or we gotta, have more extra. I don't know what goes through their mind specifically, because not everyone would actually be open and honest and say like, what's really that hold up when it comes to actually advocating for those who have disability and providing the accessibility features. But yeah, absolutely, I've always felt like, you know, people, people, the managers, hiring managers, clients, prospective clients, that disability would actually become a kind of like, oh, whoa, hold on, type of thing. Like, oh, let me go ahead and embrace this. So I have numerous examples, and actually, I have in my book, Seeing Life Through Different Lens. There's actually even a whole section on it, that really talks about what that was like, even from the parental perspective, because my mother is the one who interacted with people before she did. I think I was grateful to have grown up in a way that she shielded me from all of that until I, was 18 and had to experience it myself in school, in work, and professional life.
so do you have any like tips for someone who is dealing with that now? Like you have any tips for them? Because I know that can be extremely aggravating and frustrating. Um, trying to apply for a job, or just you're just trying to be treated like everybody else, going to school or going to work. You have any advice for someone who's in that position right now, to overcome that and not, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the biggest thing that I can say right now is be your own advocate. Be your own advocate. Thank goodness we're in this time and era where uh, Google is right at your fingertips, YouTube is right at your fingertips, and you can literally Google your rights, your disability rights,
very
and,
true.
and really advocate for yourself. So that's the
And
that's
that's very true. Like you said, know your rights as well. Because some people, some people feel like they are the law and try to make changes and make stipulations and all these things to stop you from doing what you need to do. And like when like you said, advocate for yourself. And when you know your rights, it's like oh, a no brainer. It's please advocate for yourself. It's like what? I can't do what?
yeah.
All right. So, how are you like pushing through to thrive in your professional and personal life? You did mention that in your childhood you did have a lot of things that happened, seeing a lot of doctors, overcoming the cancer that you had. um, or do you still find obstacles that you have to overcome um, while being in remission of the cancer, and also just with the effects of having that? Do you find yourself still overcoming certain obstacles, and in order to get to your next destination?
Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, all of us, no matter what destination our next destination is, we have to overcome obstacles in order to get there. That's where the lessons are. That's where the blessings are. But throwing in that, yeah, actually, it's also what they call secondary cancers, where it's like the aftermath. It's like this long-winded fatigue. There's also it's built into the chronic illness. That's where all the stress and the trauma from dealing with it for so long. It's built into the chronic illness. So it's never ending for me. But I think the good thing is that because I grew up for the most part, um, you know, um, uh, for the most part, I grew up, by myself as the only child. That I had to really become more self-conscious and self-aware. So I'm able to really know and say like, okay, today is a mental health day. I need to rest my body day, or I need to not speak today, and just kind of pay close attention to myself and prioritize self and prioritize nutrition and prioritize stress levels. Know when I should and when I should not have cake. Yeah.
So is that something like you're looking forward to?
Every day I look forward to um, I look forward to consistency. I mean, I think right now, being a woman of disability is hard to have a certain level of consistency, but I know that I look forward to that level of consistency. But I think being self aware, I know that it's like it may or may not be there. You know.
All right, thank you so much for that. I want to ask you this: like, we talked about education for a little bit. um how do you feel schools can do a better job with supporting students with disabilities?
Yes, well, that's a perfect question for you, and because you are the IEP coach, and the IEP is really the best place to start. So starting with really that individual education plan, and really the communication, and the individual education plan. That's where it could really start because this is also a section of my book, is dropping my book again, where my mom actually talked about that. Like we started with the individual education plan in middle school, and that was really my best experience. I mean, now that I am older and know the back end of it, I really had a good experience at that school because it was so personalized to how I learned what I need to really continue to thrive. And so having a really deep understanding of the individual education plan, and just understanding that different the disability is a different ability, which means they're gifted and geniuses in other areas, and to embrace that. So I think that's the best place to really start.
Well, principals, you heard her. You need to get me in your school because it starts with the IEP. So you heard her. She listen. She's out here, she's thriving, and she's saying, hey, that's the first thing. And I'll say that's for teachers, parents, everybody. So principals, definitely reach out to me so I can get in your school, so I can train your teachers, and I can tailor everything to what special education teachers need. Stop playing, okay? So that is, and you're right, that it's very important. I think once you know you start that journey, whether your child has some limitations, or they do have a disability and they require an IEP, it is very important that parents, guardians, understand what that IEP is, understand their rights, understand that process, and then also understand how to read it so they are aware of what goes in it. They can make sure it's being updated correctly, and also advocate for services to be placed in that IEP, accommodations to be placed in that IEP, or modification. So it does definitely start with that. And then also, I would say training, teachers to explain that IEP to parents, at the meeting, like not rushing a meeting, just so you get, to be done, taking the time. You look like you've experienced that.
No, I got a lot to say about that. But the good thing is that I was blessed to be a part of those meetings anyway, so I could still see that. Like, oh yeah, they all they want to do was just get on with their day. It was so boring to them that it was it was like, okay, do you even really care? you know? So really having those individual education planning meetings, really and really knowing that this is basically the um, the same way that the school has to have a curriculum, the teachers have to have school plans. It's the same thing for the student. So really, that man, as soon as you said rushing through, I just like, oh man, I remember those days. And you're still muted over here.
Thank you. We had someone. Thank you. We had someone ask, "What does IEP stand for?" So I put Individualized Education Plan. So yes. Now, when did you start attending your meetings? Did you start at 14, like most people, or did you start earlier?
I think 13. I think I remember my first actual meeting was high school.
Okay, high school. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I know sometimes, I know I would have, when I was still in the classroom, I had some kids come earlier because I was an emotional support teacher. So I'm like, tell your parents what you've been doing at school. That behavior. Tell them what's going on. But yes, thank you, thank you. Um, so yes, that is how schools, and that's where schools can start to make changes to actually, I'll say, invest in their special education teachers. I think it's very important to do that because the population that they serve, it's like, why not? Why aren't you? And why aren't we investing in that? Why aren't we just investing in education, period, to make advancements? It's like every other industry has had advancements. And it's like we're still like kind of functioning the way education has been for years. It's like, well, what's new? It's like, okay, you have new terms. People say differentiated instruction now, or they went from inclusion to different instruction. Oh, now we're going to be co-teaching, and this is what it is. And it's like we're so quick to throw out the terms, and it's like, but are you actually putting the money behind the training for that? Are you actually investing the money in for these programs to work? Are you giving these programs time to work so that we can see some type of results? So it is extremely important that schools, districts, principals, you definitely invest in your special education teachers. And again, like Zakira said, you need to book a call with me because you need me in your school so that I can come and train your special education teachers,
Yes,
your gen ed
that
teachers.
part.
Okay, that part right there. Oh, we have a comment. Zahira said, education system needs to be rebuilt. Yeah, it needs to be built from the ground. Like it's like it just needs to get blown up. We can just start all over. Like just throw it away and start fresh. Fresh canvas and start fresh because it's just we're still operating the way we've been, and it's like things have changed.
And I have an
On
unpopular opinion. I have an unpopular opinion. I think really as soon as the pandemic hit, I was really observing the a lot of teachers quitting, and so I was like applauding that because I'm like the teachers really have the most hands-on experience, and just maybe just my entrepreneurial hat. I'm like the teachers need to be coming to me so I can help them with strategizing and telling this story so that they can really be consultants so that they can actually be the change. Because I think what happens is, like we said, a lot of it has to do with budget. A lot of it has to do with scheduling and one more thing to add to the school year, I don't know. But when you can factor that in and with someone who's not already in the budget, like with the currently unfortunately low pay with teachers, I think that the consultants that have been the teachers that were in the teacher system for so long, that's where it needs to really start.
Absolutely. And on Instagram, Learning and Behavior Solutions said, Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam. Scholars for the Soul said it needs to be torn down and rebuilt, dismantling to rebuilding and healing. Yes. Can you imagine the number of people who have been traumatized from their experience in the school system? Like, for real.
Yeah,
Like,
you included.
excuse me, I muted myself by
I
accident.
know, right?
And then just how special education was viewed. It was like out of sight, out of mind, in the basement. And then it's like, okay, you finally brought them upstairs. And then it's like we're still dismantling racism. And there's so much work, mindset work, that needs to be done on some teachers as well, because everybody doesn't have the, oh, these are all of our students. You have some teachers who are, those are your kids. Those are your kids, Miss Bashir. Miss Bashir, he's supposed to be in here with you, right? You know, you have some teachers still functioning like that, like your kids over there, you teach them, and I'm going to teach my kids in here. And it's like, we still have that. We still have that. They're still teaching to this day. And there's so much mindset work that needs to take place on top of the dismantling and rebuilding and healing. There's so much mindset work that needs to be done, um, with education, with special education as well. Because separate education, it was just it was really, I feel like sometimes it's still viewed as a place and not a service, because special education is a service. It is not a place. It is not that room at the end of the hallway or that suite over there. That's not special education. Special education is a service, and people need to truly understand that. So I can give the service in the classroom. Some things may be outside of the classroom, but in some things it may be a mixture of things. But there's so much definite mindset work that needs to take place. Um, so yes, so much work needs to be done in the schools, and I know you got so much more to say about schools.
No, no, I love it. Like you're passionate about it. This is exactly why we need to have this conversation. But yeah, I think the first people that really come to my mind, like I said, I remember vividly that middle school for sure was when the IEP was implemented, and it benefited me because sometimes it won't benefit. It won't always benefit. But I remember vividly one having a speech therapist, and another having a therapist. So as soon as you said mindset, I just want to give an acknowledgement to Dr. Hughes. Like he was my therapist. He was a black man too. So having that therapist in middle school really went a long way as well. And then also having those extracurricular activities, because one of the other things that was included is because of my cancer, is that because it's a rare childhood eye cancer, back before technology, not many children survived the cancer, but if they did survive, they would completely lose their vision, in both of the eyes, and I'm grateful to still have vision in one of my eyes. And so one of the other aspects of the individualized education plan was to learn Braille, learn the other languages. The same thing went towards, um, like if I was to lose all of my hearing, although right now, we're on Zoom, so it doesn't matter, but I do wear hearing aids. But if I were to lose all of my vision, how would I still learn how to communicate? So American Sign Language was included as well. So yeah, just like you said, mindset, mindfulness, environment really played a huge role into me thriving to this day.
Yes. And before I let you go, I just have one more question I would like to ask you. So, as we kind of touched on it a little bit, for somebody who has a disability and may feel like they can't or won't be able to thrive in life, what advice do you have for them in order to give them the I'll say just the drive and the motivation to keep pushing through?
I say keep your dreams in the forefront. Those dreams were given to you for a reason, and your situation right now is temporary. Um, and look at me, for example. I've made it, and still making it. But just know that you're not alone. Also, there is a community out there as well. But I think if you focus on focus on you, focus on yourself, and go to La La Land if you need to, but really just focus on your dreams and just go for yourself and your life first and foremost, and then everything else is just gonna flow. Everything will be easy.
Thank you so much, Zakira, for coming on tonight, having this conversation with us. Let the people know where can they find you. I've been dropping your link in the chat. Definitely, if you are on Instagram, definitely follow her at Illuminous Ones, right? At Illuminous Ones. Definitely click the link in the chat if you are on Facebook, YouTube. Click her link and go ahead, Zakira. Take it away. What else you want to say?
Yes. So thank you also for those of you who literally just followed me right now. I appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you. But yeah, so if you go to zakiranayar.com/social, you can find all of my social media handles because I am a social media digital marketer. I'm everywhere, but so check me out on social media. And also, the name of my book is Seeing Life Through a Different Lens, a survivor's memoir on overcoming adversity with resilience. And it's also been, according to the reviews, really considered a how to see life more positivity guide. That's what a lot of people have come to me and share after they finish reading the book. It really is all about mindset, mindfulness of like how do you really overcome adversity and still push through. And last but not least, I'm also a podcaster. So See Life Different is the name of a podcast with over 100 episodes. And I probably will probably start to for throwback flashback for a flashback. I will probably reshare the conversation I did have with Jamila because I also help other creatives, whether you write a book, whether you want to speak and to tell your story more effectively and with ease. That's also what I do. So I look forward to continuing this conversation offline and online with you all.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are want to follow me at the IP Coach, I put my link in the chat. That will connect you to all of my social media, email, LinkedIn, everything. Everything that the IEP Coach LLC does, you'll be able to connect with me there on that link. If you're on Instagram, click the link in my bio. You can connect with me. For those of you who are joining, please put hashtag replay if you are watching the replay. And for those of you who are new to my page, I am Jamila, aka the IEP Coach, and I'm the owner of the IEP Coach LLC. We help principals keep their special education teachers from leaving the field by tailoring our coaching and trainings to the needs of special education teachers, because that's what we do. I'm a former special education teacher and special education supervisor of almost 20 years. So I know exactly what they need. And principals, you heard what Zakira said. You need me in your school. So you need to also click the link in my bio and book a call with me. Stop playing. Like, stop playing. Stop playing. Okay? But thank you all so much. Stay tuned to my page so you know when the next live we will do for Black History Month, focusing on those with disabilities who are thriving and pushing through in their personal and professional lives. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time.